How can one of the richest countries in the world have almost no billionaires, despite its high standard of living and strong economy? Is it a hidden government conspiracy, or is there something deeper at play? In today's video, we'll find the answers to these questions and many more. Stick around as we reveal the surprising reasons why Norway has so few wealthy individuals. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Before we start, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure you do that right now. Let's get started. Number 1. Norway's wealth distribution. If you ever decide to take a trip to Norway, be sure to try out their seafood. I've been told that it tastes amazing. This and many other high-yield products are what keeps Norway's economy robust and on top. This North European country is a hub for natural resources like natural gas, petroleum, zinc, hydropower, and timber. But while Norwegians are blessed with all this, it seems that their government has forgotten about some of the rules of economics. Humans are rational beings, and you can't expect the best ones to stick around if you don't give them a chance to thrive. Now, since the beginning of time, there has always been this idea of a perfect world. It's nice to think about that possibility, but that's all there is to it. In reality, that's not very feasible. Is the Norwegian government trying to make a fairy tale come true? It's hard to say. Norway has a good fiscal policy, but it almost feels like everyone in the country is being forced to share the wealth equally. Ever heard of the Gini coefficient? Well, it's one of the ways we can measure income distribution and see if a country's wealth is being enjoyed by all its residents. Last I checked, Norway's ranking was at an outstanding 72.4%. Mind you, this isn't something new. Norway has been consistently hitting high numbers on the scale. A lot of factors contribute to this, including policies that take care of everyone's welfare. With a system like that in place, the gap between the rich and the poor is gradually becoming narrower. This can be a good or a bad thing, depending on which side of the table you're on. But here's the truth. Everything would have been perfect if the Norwegian government found a way to keep its richest citizens in the country. I mean, if the government can pull it off, things will definitely run smoothly. But unfortunately, many of the big guns are leaving, and they are taking a large chunk of the economy with them. Let's take a closer look at what's going on in Norway. Number 2. Tax policies. The art of taxation consists in so plucking the goose as to obtain the largest possible amount of feathers with the smallest possible amount of hissing. Those were the words of Jean-Baptiste Colbert, the finance minister to France's Louis XIV. Colbert understood the way civilizations work, and even though he wasn't a college professor who taught economics, he was able to summarize the entire concept of taxation in one sentence. You shouldn't impose taxes that are too much to bear on your citizens, especially if those citizens are your top earners. Norway employs a highly progressive tax system, with steep taxes on high incomes, wealth, and capital gains. This simply means that once you start earning more, you're going to have to pay more. Most nations have made necessary considerations and adjusted their tax systems, but Norway is one of the few OECD nations that taxes net wealth. The wealth tax is particularly notable, discouraging the accumulation of vast fortunes. It's hilarious because it keeps you humble in the worst possible way. It ensures the rich contribute their fair share to society. The sad part is that these billionaires aren't even paying with their incomes. They're paying with their wealth. If someone was taking away all my hard-earned money, I don't think I would want to stick around either. Let me break it down for you. As a Norwegian resident, if you have more than $185,000 in your name, your tax rate is increased to 1.1%. I guess the government was expecting a big payday. Being after the estimates, we found out that the country's revenue would have increased by $150 million annually if all went as planned. But unfortunately, so many rich folks have left. Even the third richest Norwegian, Kjell Inge Røkke, has packed his things and left. In 2022 alone, over 30 of Norway's richest citizens emigrated, which was more than the country had seen in the last 13 years. I've heard someone say that Norway's tax system is flawed, but I don't want to believe that. Before we jump to any conclusions, let's look at the whole story. Number 3. Social welfare system. Norway has a comprehensive social safety net, a type that's hard to come by these days. It's applaudable, really. Not many governments can look out for their people like that. Norway's extensive social welfare system means citizens get access to high-quality healthcare, education, and social services without doing too much and breaking the bank. It basically reduces the need for personal wealth accumulation. Think about it this way. If you had all your basic needs covered, would you still want to work at your regular 9 to 5 while doing 3 other jobs? Of course not. A shocking account balance sounds really tempting, but how many people actually want more money than they could ever need? So many individuals just want to survive, and by the time you take away their drive to hustle, you have a society of financially average people who are content with what they have. Besides, even if they wanted to make a lot of money, it's not like the tax system would give them a chance to enjoy every penny they make. Don't get me wrong, Norway is progressive and supports innovation, but you also have to consider the small market size. I mean, compared to a place like the United States, Norway is pretty small. The limits you can reach in your career are defined by your environment and the opportunities you find in front of you. In a place like Norway, after all your hard work and success as an entrepreneur, you still won't be able to compete with the top earners in America and other capitalist nations with larger economies. As I mentioned earlier, Norway's tax system and principles can be a good or bad thing, depending on which side of the table you're on. You need to understand that there is high public trust in the Norwegian government. The masses love this system because they are being taken care of and their needs are being met. So it's something that can't be easily disrupted. Number 4, corporate culture and ownership structures. In a predominantly capitalist market, it's possible for one man to earn way more than the people he works with. In fact, we've seen cases where the monthly income of the boss is times 10 of the next in commands. Unfortunately for ambitious moneymakers, that's not the case in Norway. Norwegian corporate culture often favors cooperative ownership models over traditional capitalist structures, spreading wealth more evenly. The rule of the game in Norway is simple. You need to learn how to share. Even though it's a hard pill to swallow, one needs to accept the truth that it's hard to create billionaires like this. Norway is a very wealthy country, but you can't have it both ways. Just take a look at Norway's sovereign wealth fund. It's one of the largest ones we've ever heard of, and it's pretty impressive. It manages Norway's oil revenues in such a way that benefits everyone in the country and not a few people. Norway's mixed economy is also another obstacle. The government basically owns most of the major industries in the nation, including oil and gas, so it's hard to put yourself on top without getting shot down. Forget about wealth accumulation, all the money goes to public funds and projects. I can imagine how hard it is to build generational wealth there. And don't think that the Norwegian government has tried to mitigate the whole thing. It even introduced the exit tax that would put a heavy financial burden on rich people who tried to leave. But apparently that didn't do the trick. At a crossroads like this, it's hard to say what will happen a couple of years from now. Is Norway going to lose all its billionaires? Or is there still something that can be done to fix this problem? Let's leave it for another video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on wealth and finance. Let us know in the comments what you think about Norway's approach to wealth distribution. Do you think other countries could learn something from Norway? We would love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next video.